Looking ahead to summer, another Obamacare failure looms with potentially devastating consequences. Remember those failed Obamacare co-ops? Well, they have failed to repay any of the $2.4 billion they owe in federal loans. Senator Rob Portman, in a recent hearing, says taxpayers shouldn't hold their breath concerning repayment. Joining us now to go in depth on this from Newsmax New York, Sally Pipes, president of the Pacific Research Institute and an outspoken critic of Obamacare. And from our Newsmax TV newsroom, we're joined by Tate, Newsmax health editor and author of the book, Da Vinci's Baby Boomer Survival Guide. Sally, I don't know if we're going to be able to survive Obamacare. My old colleague in the House now, Senator Rob Portman, had this to say. Let's listen, then we'll get your reaction.
Their collapse, by the way, also caused 740,000 people in 14 states to lose their health insurance provider and have to scramble to find new coverage, most with little or no time.
So, insurance, I thought Obamacare was going to make health insurance available to everybody, Sally?
Well, that's what the president promised, that the average family would have their insurance coverage go down by $2,500. And if they like their insurer and they like their doctor, nothing would change. But as we've seen, 12 out of the 23 co-ops have failed. 742,000 people have lost their coverage and had to scramble to get coverage. And that $2.4 billion is, the amount of money the feds put into it. And now, just recently, the GAO, the General Accounting Office, just came out and said it looks like 4 of the 11 remaining co-ops have enrollees fewer than 25,000, which is that benchmark in order to cover direct costs. So it is a disaster.
So, Nick, who is going to get stuck with this? Does it end up being the taxpayer and the law-abiding, hard-working healthcare consumer?
You're right. That's exactly right. Those federal loans are not going to be paid off, so taxpayers are going to be on the hook for them. But it's not just taxpayers. A lot of the insurance companies are going to have to pick up the added costs for these co-ops failing, and that's likely to lead to additional insurance premium increases, which are already going through the roof, partly because of Obamacare, and doctors and hospitals are going to have to absorb these costs as well. So there's going to be a lot of pain to be spread around, and to me, there are really 2 lessons here. Number one, that when the federal government steps into a complex private enterprise system as complex in healthcare, it's going to go badly. And number 2, the Affordable Care Act is really in many ways a complete misnomer.
Now, Sally, as I understand it, Hillary Clinton is claiming the solution is to get more companies, including nonprofits, to fill the void left by these co-ops. But what incentive would nonprofits have to even do this? Seems to me they'd want to stay the heck away from this stuff.
Well, and CMS acting administrator Andy Slavitt has said, he wants to bring in some competition. Maybe people would want to invest in the remaining co-ops. Who, as you say, who would want to invest in the remaining co-ops? And so I think, Hillary, she's really moving Obamacare 2.0. She wants to improve on Obamacare. She wants to bring back the public option that was originally in the House bill. So she wants to get more and more government, because I think down the line, even though she says she doesn't agree with Bernie Sanders, who's running against her, she really does want a full takeover, a Medicare for all system for all American people. I don't know where we're going to go. Canada has one, Canadians come here. Where will we go if that happens to our healthcare system?
And speaking of these United States, Nick, we've got a map we want to take a look at on the screen. And as we look at the map, in red, you can see the states where Obamacare co-ops are closed. That's really a diplomatic way to put it. Bottom line is they failed. The green states are the ones where the co-ops are still open. Nick, if you had to make a prediction, how many remaining co-ops do you think will survive until next year?
I don't think any. I think by next year they'll all be gone. In fact, all we have to do is look at a state like New York, which got $90 million to try to help salvage and keep it afloat in 2014. Last year, it got another $544 million from the federal government to try to salvage the problem in New York State alone, and that system's going down. I'd be very surprised if any of these co-ops survive, even with big infusions of more federal dollars.
And Sally Pipes, final 30 seconds to you for the last word.
Well, I absolutely agree with what Nick said. As I say, 8 of the 11, there are 11 remaining. 8 are near financial collapse. 4 haven't met the benchmark. This system, the president wanted cheaper prices for health coverage, more competition, and exactly the opposite has happened with these co-ops, where in New York, 200,000 lost their coverage alone.
Sally Pipes tonight from Newsmax New York, and Nick Tate from our Newsmax newsroom. We thank you both. Now, this reminder, you can get your copy of Nick Tate's book, The Baby Boomer Survival Guide, by going to boomers411.com. When it comes to Obamacare, I bet you have some comments you'd like to make, and I would like to hear your comments. Here is where you send me your comments. Send them to comments@newsmaxtv.com/comments. Back with a young congressional candidate after this.